You have glimpsed the farmer. He looked a very odd man to me, but then you cannot go by outward appearances. I imagined he was rather stupid, not so his son, but they are men, and you must always be aware of men. You understand that, Jinnie?" "Oh, yes, Miss Caplin, I do." "And you know why you are going? The wife at the farm is sickly and cannot see to meals and household chores. Well," she now gave a little smile, "you'll be very good at household chores, but as for meals, I think it will be a matter of learning as you go along." "Well, at that other place I made breakfast, Miss Caplin, and I cooked bacon and made porridge." Then, after a pause, Jinnie shook her head and added, "I'll never understand why she lied so, when she was so kind at first and showed me how to do things, such as cook, then to say that I had—" "Yes, yes." Miss Caplin again straightened the young girl's hat, saying, "Put it at the back of your mind. What you must remember now is what I've told you about my aunts. You will come across their cottage some way after you have passed through Whitfield. Max will point it out to you, as it lies in a tree-covered hollow and cannot be seen from the road. But as I've told you, if anything untoward should happen again and you fear they are going to send you back—" She now wagged her finger as she emphasised, "but not unless, mind, you must do your best to get away and make for the cottage. And my aunts will look after you until I come. But of course, as you know, I can only visit them on my leave day, once a month, so you might have to bide there, in hiding for some time. Last week, when I told them of the position you're taking up at the Shaleman farm," she omitted to say that they had held their hands up in horror, "they said they hoped you would be strong enough to tackle some farm work. Still, I understand it is a small farm, mostly sheep." In the ensuing silence, Jinnie sniffed and said, "Oh, I'm going to miss you, Miss Caplin. Nobody's been good to me like you have." And Jane Caplin had the urge to thrust out her arms and draw the slim figure into a tight embrace, for there were times when she saw this child as the daughter she had been deprived of through the machinations of a loving father. What she did now was to cup the thin face in her hands and say softly, "I'm going to miss you too, Jinnie, but we'll keep in touch through my aunts. As I've told you before, though, don't mention their names to your new master. It is better that you pretend you know no one." Jinnie was nodding her head and was about to speak again when the door was thrust open. A tall, bony woman stood there, and in a tone that matched her expression, she said, "Matron's waiting for the tinker's girl." Jinnie did not immediately move towards the labour mistress, but she stared at her for a moment before turning again to Miss Caplin and saying, "Goodbye, Miss Caplin. Goodbye." "Goodbye, Jinnie. Put a move on, girl." Jinnie forced herself to cast her eyes downwards as she passed the woman, for if she had hated anybody in this workhouse, it was the labour mistress, who had, from the day she first entered the place at the age of 7, always referred to her as the tinker's girl. She still held a vivid memory of this woman ordering 2 inmates to carry her father from the cart and into what was called the hospital block, and when she wouldn't let her follow them, she had screamed and fought her, only to be silenced by repeated slaps across the face. And although the guardians had sold the cart, the old horse and what remained of the merchandise, instead of giving her father a decent funeral, he was buried as a pauper. She had been told that what money had come from the sale of his belongings would be needed to support her until she was able to work for herself, and 2 years before she had been sent out to work for herself, only to be returned in disgrace. Followed by the labour mistress, she walked across the yard and into the main hall and approached the matron, who was standing behind a table on which was an assortment of clothes. When she neared it, she dipped her knee and waited, but the matron did not speak until the labour mistress was by her side, and it was to her she turned and said, "Count them out," while pointing towards the articles of clothing on the table. 2 calico nightgowns, 1 shift, 1 petticoat, 1 print dress, 1 pair of calico bloomers, 2 white aprons, 1 coarse, 1 habit shirt, 1 pair of stockings, 1 pair of working clogs, 6 body pads. On touching the last item, the labour mistress spread out the 6 pieces of calico, to the ends of which were attached lengths of tape, and lastly she reached out and brought forward a small Bible. Now the matron spoke to her, saying, "You're very lucky to be given a second chance."